So how do we actually do this? So we've talked about sort of the setup with the mirrors and everything, but one part that we haven't talked about is pumping. So in both the 3-level and 4-level schematics that we looked at, both required pumping from the ground state to some excited state to achieve the population inversion. And so the question might be, how do we achieve this, right? And so there are different possibilities here. I encourage you to think about for yourself, like what could you do to generate this population inversion? And so the two main ways that are used, one is optical pumping. And this takes a few different forms. Optical pumping meaning we use light, which makes sense, right? That's one of the main ways we cause molecules to change in energy levels. And so this can take a few different forms. One is what's known as a flash lamp. And I've used a laser like this. Neodymium YAG lasers often work on this principle. So flash lamp uses very bright lamps that shine on the laser medium. And generally this is for pulse lasers, and so they flash periodically, at a specific frequency. And they're not necessarily specific for that specific wavelength. They're often bulbs that emit polychromatic light. The other one that's very commonly used is, and it's a little bit of a how do you do this, but use another laser. So if you have a laser that matches the the wavelength that you need to cause this first transition from the ground state to the excited state that you need, it worked great. And there are some lasers that you can change the frequency of light at which they operate, and so these make good pump lasers. And so I've also used lasers that work on this principle of using one laser to generate another laser. It's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing. You need some form of laser that you pump in a different way besides using a laser to create a laser in the first place. The second main possibility is electrical pumping. And so we insert energy using electricity. This again can take a few different forms. One is using, say, a discharge in a gas. So this is the similar to how we generated excited hydrogen and helium in our lab experiment, or how you do it in neon sign, right? You push electricity through the system and you generate molecules in the excited state. All right, and so this can I've also used lasers that use this example. Another variation on this, so if you're looking at something in the solid state, is to run electricity through a semiconductor. And this is really common for lasers that are used for telecommunications, right? So for the internet, they rely on this sort of pumping because you don't really want to have another laser or flash lamps, in your undersea cables or whatever. It's much easier to just run electricity through your optical fiber. And so in the next video, we'll look at a few examples of different types of lasers.